What if your value as a man wasn't proven by chasing, but by building something unshakable? In a world obsessed with speed and attention, what happens when you choose silence and purpose instead? This isn't about avoiding the chase, it's about becoming the kind of man worth chasing. A Stoic man doesn't chase. He builds vertical bar why solitude is power. This is not your typical motivational video. This is a wake-up call for those who are ready to break through their limits and step into the life they truly deserve. If you're searching for true wealth, lasting success, and deep inner happiness, then don't blink. Don't miss a single second. Because near the end of this video lies timeless wisdom success secrets that few have ever heard. That final part might just be the turning point in your life, if you have the patience to absorb it fully. And if you're ready to make a change, hit subscribe so you don't miss this journey of growth. Comment, "I'm ready for success and happiness," to mark the beginning of your transformation. And watch until the very end, because the real value lies in what you haven't heard yet. We're not here to entertain. We're here to help you become the best version of yourself. Start right now. Your success won't wait. In a world obsessed with chasing status, chasing people, chasing approval, the Stoic man moves differently. He does not run after what is fleeting. He does not dilute his energy in the pursuit of distractions. He builds patiently, silently, relentlessly, and in that building of mind, of character, of purpose, he discovers a deeper power, solitude. But solitude for the Stoic man is not emptiness. It is not isolation born of weakness or bitterness. It is a conscious choice. Training ground of forge, a place where thought becomes sharper, values become clearer, and discipline becomes unshakable. The man who learns to stand alone learns to stand anywhere. In this episode, we will explore why the Stoic man does not chase, and why his solitude is not a void, but a source of immense power. We'll see how stillness reveals what noise hides, how emotional independence transforms a man, and why building a life from the inside out creates the kind of strength the world cannot touch. So if you've ever felt the pull to slow down, to step away from shallow pursuits to cultivate a deeper kind of life, this is your moment. Because a Stoic man doesn't chase, he builds, and through that, he becomes unshakable. One solitude is not emptiness, it's a training ground. Too many people fear solitude. They run from it into crowds, into noise, into endless streams of distraction. They treat silence as emptiness, as something to be avoided. But the Stoic man sees solitude through a different lens to him. It is not a void, it is a forge, a space where the mind sharpens the spirit, strengthens, and direction becomes clear. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about withdrawing into oneself. Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. This was not a retreat from life, but a preparation for it. In solitude, you strip away the clutter. You face yourself without masks, without performance. You confront your thoughts, your weaknesses, your potential, and through that confrontation you grow. The man who fears solitude is a man who has not yet made peace with himself. He needs the constant presence of others to validate his worth, to distract him from inner disc. But the Stoic man embraces solitude because he understands this truth. If you cannot be with yourself, you will never be whole with others. Solitude is where self-knowledge is born, and without self-knowledge, no amount of external success can compensate in solitude. The Stoic man trains his thought. He reads, reflects questions. He does not consume mindlessly. He consumes deliberately. Every piece of knowledge, every insight is weighed, considered, integrated. Goal is not to fill time, but to forge understanding in a world of shallow opinions and instant answers. This depth of thought becomes a rare and valuable strength. Solitude is also where discipline is forged, without the eyes of others. Watching the Stoic man tests his will. Can he rise early when no one is there to praise him? Can he resist indulgence when no one would judge him for it? Can he stay committed to his mission when no one is cheering him on? This is true discipline, not performance, but principle, not for show, but for self and through this solitary discipline, a deeper direction emerges. The Stoic man does not chase trends or approval, because he knows where he is going. Solitude gives him space to align his actions with his values, to ask, am I living in accordance with what I believe? Am I building the life I truly want, or the one others expect of me without this? Reflective space. It is too easy to drift, to live reactively rather than intentionally. This is why solitude is power. It is the space where clarity triumphs over confusion, where strength overcomes dependence, where purpose is forged from sen. Within, not borrowed from without, but understand, solitude must be embraced. With courage and discipline, it is not about isolation or withdrawal from the world. It is about creating space within the world. Space to think, to grow, to become the Stoic. Man uses solitude not to escape life, but to prepare for it more. Powerfully ask yourself, how do I approach solitude? Do I avoid it, distract myself from it, or do I enter it as a training ground, a place to sharpen thought, discipline, and direction? Remember, the man who is strong alone is the man who can walk anywhere with composure. He does not chase because he does not need to. He builds, and from that building his strength flows too. He builds before he bonds. In modern culture, there is relentless pressure to seek connection, to date, to network, to be constantly surrounded. Many men fall into the trap of chasing relationships, hoping to find validation, identity, even purpose through others. But the Stoic man takes a different path. He builds before he bonds. He does not seek relationships to complete him. He seeks to complete himself. First, why? Because he knows that without inner wholeness, every bond becomes a burden. If you enter a relationship hoping to be rescued from your insecurities or loneliness, you place an impossible weight on the other person. You ask them to fill the gaps in your soul, and inevitably, this leads to disappointment, dependence, and instability. Stoic man understands that a healthy bond must be an addition, not a definition. He builds his foundation first, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He clarifies his values, strengthens his discipline, cultivates his purpose. Only then does he invite connection, and only with those who align with the life he is. Building Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the nature of relationships. He valued them, but never clung to them. His writings reveal a man grounded in himself, capable of love and friendship, yet never defined by them. This is the Stoic model. To hold space for others, but never to lose oneself within them. Consider what this means in practice. The Stoic man does not rush into companionship to soothe temporary discomfort. He uses solitude to grow, to refine his direction. He asks, who am I becoming? What kind of life am I creating? And who, if anyone, belongs alongside that journey? When relationships are approached from this foundation, they become healthier, freer, more authentic. There is no chasing, no clinging, no performance. Each person brings their full self to the connection, whole, strong, and sovereign. If bond enhances the mission, it is welcomed. If it distracts or diminishes, it is released. This mindset also protects the Stoic man from manipulation. Many chase relationships out of fear, fear of loneliness, fear of missing out, fear of judgment. In that fear, they become easy to control. They compromise their values for approval, silence their truth for acceptance. But the man who builds first is immune to such pressures. His worth is not contingent on others. opinions his direction does not waver based on external validation, and when he does choose to bond, he does so with clarity, not because he needs to, but because he chooses to, not because he seeks to be completed, but because he wishes to share the strength he has already cultivated. Ask yourself today, am I building before I bond, or am I seeking connection to escape the work of self-development? Is my foundation strong enough that any relationship would be an addition, not a definition? The Stoic man knows those who chase relationships from emptiness remain empty, but those who build first walk into every bond hole, and from that wholeness, true connection becomes possible. 3. Discipline over desire. Desire is a powerful force, perhaps the most intoxicating force in a man's life. The desire for comfort, the desire for pleasure, the desire for status, attention, validation in a world that constantly feeds these cravings through marketing, media, and social expectation. Many men live as slaves to their urges. They chase what feels good in the moment at the expense of what builds strength in the long run. But the Stoic man rejects this path. He chooses discipline over desire. This is not because he denies pleasure or rejects all comforts. It is because he understands a deeper truth. Unchecked desire weakens the will each time you surrender to fleeting impulses, scrolling endlessly, indulging in instant gratification, seeking empty approval. You erode the very faculties that create greatness. Patience, resilience, clarity. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal. In life, it is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control, and chief among those things are our own untamed desires. The Stoic man seeks freedom, not the false freedom of doing whatever feels good, but the true freedom of mastery over self. Consider how this plays out in daily life. The Stoic man does not let hunger dictate his choices. He eats with intention. He does not let sexual desire lead him into reckless behavior. He governs his passions with reason. He does not chase money at any cost. He pursues purpose first in every domain. He asks, is this action aligned with my values, or is it a surrender to fleeting pleasure? Discipline for the Stoic man is not repression. It is redirection. He does not kill desire. He trains it. He channels energy toward growth, toward building, toward the pursuit of what is meaningful. This requires awareness at every moment. He observes his impulses without being ruled by them. He practices what the Stoics called premeditation of the passions, anticipating temptations and preparing principled responses in modern society. This practice is revolutionary. So many men are trapped in cycles of dopamine-driven behavior, endless entertainment, impulsive consumption, shallow validation. They wonder why they feel restless, weak, dissatisfied. The answer is clear. They have allowed desire to replace discipline, but the Stoic man chooses a harder, nobler path. He understands that true fulfillment comes not from indulging every urge, but from mastering them. Each act of restraint strengthens, resolve each principled choice, deepens integrity over time. This builds a character that cannot be swayed by circumstance or temptation. And paradoxically, this self-mastery leads to greater enjoyment of life. Not less when pleasures are occasional and earned. They are savored more deeply when actions are aligned with purpose. Even struggle becomes meaningful. The Stoic man does not live a joyless life. He lives a disciplined life, where joy arises from conscious living, not compulsive reacting. Ask yourself today, where am I governed by desire rather than guided by discipline? What impulses weaken my will? And how can I begin to choose purpose over pleasure, growth over gratification? Remember, the man who chases desire becomes its servant. The man who chooses discipline becomes his own master, and mastery, not indulgence, is the foundation of an unshakable life. 4. He chooses alignment, not approval. The desire for approval is one of the subtlest traps in life. It wears many faces: the need to be liked, the need to fit in, the fear of being judged, the craving for recognition, and in a world where likes, follows, and social validation are served in endless supply, many men fall quietly into this trap. They begin to shape their words, their choices, their very lives, not around their values, but around what will please others. But the Stoic man sees through this illusion. He does not chase approval, chases alignment. Alignment with what? With his principles, with his purpose, with his vision of the good life. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. In other words, actions are measured against inner standards, not external applause. This mindset gives the Stoic man a powerful freedom. He is not swayed by trends, peer pressure, or shifting public opinion. He knows that approval is fickle. One moment they praise you, the next they tear you down. A life built on approval is a house built on sand, but alignment with virtue, with reason, with purpose, is a foundation that endures. Consider relationships. The Stoic man does not pursue people simply to gain favor or avoid loneliness. He does not adjust his principles to fit another's expectations. He walks his path. If someone aligns with that path, they walk beside him. If not, he keeps walking. There is no resentment, no need to convince. He understands that integrity must come before connection. Otherwise, both will be compromised. The same applies in work. The Stoic man does not sacrifice his values for advancement. He does not bend his truth to win approval from clients, colleagues, or audiences. His work is an expression of who he is, not a mask, worn to be accepted, and because of this, the value he creates is authentic, lasting, and deeply respected. This approach requires courage. Choosing alignment over approval means you will sometimes stand alone. You will be misunderstood. You will face criticism. But the Stoic man accepts this as the price of integrity. As Epictetus said, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. The pursuit of virtue is not always popular, but it is always right. Moreover, this path cultivates an inner peace that, approval-seeking, can never provide. The man chasing approval is always anxious, always scanning the room, the feed, the crowd, wondering, do they accept me? Am I enough? But the Stoic man, aligned with his principles, carries a different energy. He moves through life with a quiet strength. He knows who he is, what he values, and where he is going, and from this grounded place, he attracts genuine respect, not by chasing it, but by embodying it. Ask yourself today, where am I sacrificing alignment for approval? In what areas of life am I bending to please others, rather than standing in my truth? And what would it look like to walk my path steadily, unapologetically, whether others approve or not? Remember, the man who chases approval remains enslaved to the crowd, but the man who chooses alignment walks free, and in that freedom he becomes unshakable. 5. Emotional independence is his superpower. Many men live at the mercy of their emotions and, worse, at the mercy of others' emotions. Their mood rises or falls based on how they are treated, what is said to them, what happens in the world around them. They outsource their peace, giving others invisible power over their state of mind. But the Stoic man chooses a different way. Emotional independence is his superpower. He does not hand his serenity to anyone, he carries it within. This is not coldness or indifference. It is not the suppression of feeling. The Stoic path is not about becoming a stone, it is about becoming an oak, deeply rooted, steady through the storms. The Stoic man feels, but he is not ruled by those feelings. He observes them, understands them, and chooses his response. With clarity, Epictetus taught, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, external events, even difficult ones, do not dictate your inner state unless you allow them to. The Stoic man takes this to heart. He knows that peace is an inside job. If you place it in the hands of others, you will live. In constant turmoil, if you cultivate it within you, become unshakable. Consider relationships. Many chase connection out of emotional dependency. They need constant reassurance, constant attention, constant validation to feel okay. The Stoic man does not operate this way. He enters relationships as a whole man, one who brings peace rather than extracting it. He does not demand others regulate his emotions. He owns that responsibility fully in the workplace. This principle is equally powerful. The Stoic man does not let criticism or office politics derail him. He does not seek constant praise to stay motivated. He shows up, grounded, composed, focused. Regardless of external noise, his steadiness becomes an asset, inspiring trust and respect. Emotional independence also sharpens creative power. When you are not tangled in reactive emotions, your mind gains clarity. You see situations as they are, not through the distorted lens of wounded pride or unmet needs. You think better, lead better, create better. This is why the Stoic man's work often carries a rare depth. It arises from a place of centered strength. But this superpower is not innate. It is trained. The Stoic man cultivates it through daily reflection, through practicing detachment from what he cannot control, through choosing reason over reactivity again and again. Expects life to challenge his peace, and he welcomes these tests as opportunities to grow stronger. And when challenges come, betrayal, loss, disrespect, he does not crumble. He breathes, he reflects, he reminds himself, their actions are theirs, my response is mine. In this moment, he exercises true power, the power to remain sovereign over his own state. Ask yourself today, where am I outsourcing my peace? Whose words, whose moods, whose actions do I allow to govern my emotions? And how can I reclaim that power, not by hardening my heart, but by strengthening my mind? Remember the man who needs others to regulate. His peace will always be unstable, but the man who carries his own emotional weight stands unshakable, and in that steadiness he becomes a force others naturally respect and admire. 6. He works in silence, not for applause. In today's world, attention has become a currency. Many men feel compelled to announce every effort, every goal, every small victory, as if validation from the crowd is the ultimate proof of progress. But this is a shallow path. The Stoic man knows better. He understands that real work, the kind that builds something lasting, is done in silence. Not for applause, not for approval, but for the sake of the work itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit." The principle is clear. Focus on your own path, not on performing for others. The Stoic man applies this ruthlessly. He does not broadcast his every move on social media. He does not seek praise for discipline nor sympathy for struggle. He simply does the work consistently, quietly, with purpose. This silence is not secrecy. It is strength. It is the refusal to dilute effort in the pursuit of attention. When you announce your goals prematurely, you risk feeding on the dopamine of others' reactions instead of building the internal drive required to achieve them. The Stoic man avoids this trap. He lets his results speak for him. The applause, if it comes, secondary, never. The aim in practical terms. This means crafting a life where purpose outweighs performance. The Stoic man prioritizes mastery over visibility. He values competence over compliments. When he learns, He learns for growth, not to impress when he trains. He trains for excellence, not for public approval when he creates. He creates to contribute, not to gain followers. This approach builds a rare kind of integrity. The Stoic man becomes internally driven. His self-worth is not hostage to others' opinions. He works whether or not anyone is watching. He persists, whether or not he is praised, and paradoxically this very quality often earns him deeper respect. Not from the noisy crowd, but from those who recognize substance over show. Moreover, working in silence sharpens focus. Without the distraction of constant self-promotion, energy is conserved for what truly matters. Honing skills, building value, pursuing the mission. The Stoic man knows that every ounce of attention spent on seeking applause is an ounce stolen from meaningful work. He protects this focus fiercely, but make no mistake, this path requires discipline. The temptation to seek recognition is strong. The modern world rewards the loud, the flashy, the visible. The Stoic man counters this pull through reflection. Why am I doing this? For whose approval? For what outcome? Does this align with my purpose, or is it a distraction? By anchoring in purpose, he maintains clarity. He embraces the long game. He is patient. He understands that true mastery unfolds over years, often unnoticed. But when it finally emerges, it is undeniable because it is built on a foundation of silent, relentless effort. Ask yourself today, am I working for applause or for the work itself? Where am I leaking energy in pursuit of attention? And how can I reclaim that focus to build quietly and powerfully what truly matters? Remember, attention is noise, results are quiet. The Stoic man chooses the latter. He works in silence, not because he must, but because he understands the strongest foundations are laid unseen, and from such foundations, an unshakable life is built. 7. Relationships are optional. Purpose is not. Many men reverse this order. They make relationships their central mission and purpose. An afterthought, they chase connection first, thinking it will give them meaning. But the Stoic man knows this is a mistake. Relationships are valuable, yes, but they are optional. Purpose, however, is not without purpose. A man drifts with purpose he builds, and from that place of strength he may choose to connect, but he never depends. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And one of the greatest freedoms is emotional independence, the ability to stand whole whether accompanied or alone. The Stoic man embraces this fully. He does not measure his worth by relationship status. He does not seek identity in being chosen. His sense of value is rooted in the life he is building, in the mission. He pursues this orientation. Changes everything, because when purpose comes first, relationships become healthier. The Stoic man does not enter them out of neediness or fear of loneliness. He does not demand that others complete him. He brings his own wholeness and seeks to share, not to fill a void. This creates bonds of respect, not dependence. Moreover, when purpose is primary, a man becomes selective. He does not chase connection for its own sake. He asks, does this relationship align with the life I am building? Does it support growth, virtue, and mission, or does it distract and diminish? If the answer is misalignment, he lets go, not out of coldness, but out of clarity. He understands that his time and energy are precious resources to be guarded and invested wisely. This clarity also protects against emotional entanglement. Too many men tolerate toxic dynamics because they fear being alone, cling to relationships that erode their peace and purpose. But the Stoic man anchored in mission is not vulnerable to such traps. He is prepared to walk alone. If necessary, his solitude is a place of strength, not of lack, and paradoxically, this very strength makes him more attractive to partners, to friends, to allies. People are drawn to those who move with purpose, who are centered and self-sufficient. The Stoic man does not chase connection. He embodies qualities that invite authentic connection. Consider this: when relationships are optional, not primary, a man gains immense freedom. He is not thrown into despair when one ends. He does not distort himself to maintain one. He remains steady because his core is built on something deeper. His life is a vessel sailing toward Odysseus' end. Meaningful horizon relationships may join the journey, but they do not define its. Of course, ask yourself, today, is my life organized around purpose or around relationships? Am I building a mission that stands with or without others? And am I approaching connection from a place of wholeness or from hidden need? Remember that Stoic man loves deeply but never dependently. He honors connection, but he does not hinge his identity upon it. His mission remains steady and clear whether people come or go. And from this grounded place he walks an unshakable path, one built on purpose first, always 8. He's comfortable being misunderstood in a world addicted to validation. Few things feel more uncomfortable than being misunderstood. Most people will twist themselves in knots to avoid it, over-explaining, defending, seeking approval from everyone they meet. But the Stoic man moves differently. He knows that walking a principled path, a path aligned with personal mission and values, will inevitably invite misunderstanding, and he is prepared for this. More than that, he's comfortable with it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind." No outside events realize this, and you will find strength. One of the most unpredictable outside events is how others perceive you, no matter how clearly you speak, how intentionally you live. Someone will misread your actions, your silence, your solitude. The Stoic man accepts this as part of life. He does not waste energy trying to control how others interpret him. Consider how this plays out practically. When the Stoic man chooses solitude over socializing, some will label him cold or arrogant. When he prioritizes purpose over popularity, others will see him as stubborn or aloof. When he refuses to chase relationships or trends, he may be called antisocial or difficult. And when he holds firm to values in a world of compromise, he will undoubtedly be seen as rigid or self-righteous by those unwilling to face their own lack of discipline. But the Stoic man does not flinch. He does not scramble to explain, to justify, to correct every perception he understands. This deeper truth to live by principle is to stand apart, and standing apart will make others uncomfortable. Their discomfort is not his burden. Their misunderstanding is not his responsibility. This is not an excuse for arrogance. The Stoic man is willing to clarify when it serves a greater good. He remains open to dialogue and feedback, but he does not plead for understanding. He does not trade authenticity for approval. He walks his path, clear in his own conscience, aligned with his own values, knowing that not everyone will see the full picture, and that is enough. Moreover, this comfort with being misunderstood frees vast mental energy while others are caught in the exhausting cycle of managing impressions. The Stoic man invests his attention in what matters, building, serving, growing. He trusts that over time, consistent action will speak louder than any explanation. There is a profound inner peace in this stance. When you no longer fear misunderstanding you, no longer fear rejection, you no longer feel the need to perform or prove, you become centered, able to move through the world with quiet confidence, anchored in self-awareness. Ask yourself today, where am I spending too much energy trying to be understood? In what areas of life am I bending my path to avoid discomfort or disapproval? And how would my life change if I embraced the fact that being misunderstood is often the price of living with integrity? Remember, the Stoic man no longer explains his silence, his focus, or his solitude. He accepts misunderstanding as a tax gladly paid for clarity, authenticity, and in this acceptance, he becomes even more free, free to walk his path unshaken by noise, guided by inner truth. 9. Stillness reveals what noise hides. Most people live in a constant hum of noise, external and internal. Notifications, news feeds, conversations, entertainment. The world shouts endlessly, and beneath that, their own minds chatter. Fears, doubts, unfinished thoughts, imagined conversations. The average man becomes so accustomed to this state that silence feels uncomfortable, even threatening. But the Stoic man seeks something deeper. He understands stillness reveals what noise hides. Marcus Aurelius often returned to this truth. Nowhere can a man retreat to find more peace or freedom than into his own soul. But this retreat is not escapism. It is a practice, a discipline the Stoic man deliberately creates. Moments of stillness because he knows that only in such space does real clarity emerge in the noise. It is easy to stay busy reacting to inputs, chasing small wins, mistaking movement for progress. But in stillness the truth rises. You begin to hear your own voice beneath the voices of the crowd you see, which thoughts are truly yours, and which were absorbed uncritically. You notice what is misaligned, what is unresolved, what is neglected in this sense. Stillness is not passive. It is an active confrontation with reality for the Stoic man. This is essential. He does not build his life on borrowed thoughts or unconscious habits. He uses stillness to audit his inner world. What am I carrying that no longer serves me? What fears are driving my choices? What responsibilities am I avoiding? Where have I drifted from my core values? And, perhaps most importantly, stillness helps him see what they must be built, fixed, or released in the noise. These truths remain hidden beneath distraction, but in the quiet, they become impossible to ignore. Clarity comes direction, sharpens action, becomes more intentional. Consider this in your own life. When was the last time you sat in true stillness? No phone, no music, no conversation, simply observing your own mind. Many avoid this because it reveals uncomfortable truths, but the Stoic man embraces it, knowing that growth requires facing what is real. And this practice pays immense dividends. Stillness restores. Focus it strengthens. Discernment. It protects against the constant pull of reactive living when others are scattered and overstimulated. The Stoic man moves with calm precision because he knows what matters and what does not. He has seen it in stillness. This is why he guards such space. Fiercely, it is not negotiable. No matter how busy life becomes, he makes time to step back, to disconnect from noise, to reconnect with principle. Whether through daily reflection, time in nature, or quiet contemplation, he cultivates this inner sanctuary, and from it he draws strength. Ask yourself today, how much of my life is shaped by noise? How often do I create space for stillness? And what truths might emerge if I dared to sit with myself, without distraction, without escape? Remember, the average man hides in noise. The Stoic man listens in silence. He understands that stillness is not a luxury, it is a necessity for. In that quiet space, he finds the clarity to build wisely, to act purposefully, and to live unshakably. 10. He protects his peace. Like a fortress, in a world of constant demands and endless distractions, peace of mind is one of the rarest treasures a man can possess. Yet many give it away cheaply, reacting to every message, engaging in every argument, exhausting themselves. Trying to manage the expectations and opinions of others, the Stoic man sees this clearly. He understands peace is precious. Without it, strength erodes, clarity fades, purpose is diluted, and so he protects his peace like a fortress. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do." The Stoic man applies this not as a lofty idea, but as a daily discipline. He is deliberate about where his energy flows, about which battles he engages in, about which voices he allows into his inner world. Consider this: how many men allow their entire day to be shaped by a single text message, a negative comment, a trivial disagreement? How many drain their focus arguing online, explaining themselves endlessly, reacting to every provocation? The Stoic man refuses to live. This way, he knows that every ounce of attention spent on the inconsequential is attention stolen from what truly matters. Building, serving, growing to protect peace is to set boundaries clear, firm, and unapologetic. The Stoic man does not respond to every message immediately. He does not attend every event out of obligation. He does not engage with those who seek to drain or provoke. He chooses where his presence goes, because he understands that presence is power. This requires discernment. Not all conflict should be avoided. Some must be faced with courage. But the Stoic man distinguishes between necessary battles and needless ones. He asks, will this contribute to my mission, my growth, or the well-being of those I serve? Or is it merely noise? If the latter, he lets it pass without guilt, without explanation. This fortress of peace is also internal. The Stoic man guards his mind against toxic thought, patterns, resentment, envy, petty comparisons. He practices gratitude. He returns to principles. He reflects daily to clear mental clutter. In doing so, he cultivates an inner climate where focus can flourish, where decisions are made with wisdom, where purpose drives action. And here lies a profound paradox. The man who protects his peace becomes more effective in the world. Not less. He is not scattered. He is centered. He is not reactive. He is intentional when he speaks. It carries weight when he acts. It aligns with purpose. He builds momentum steadily. Undistracted by trivialities, ask yourself today, where am I leaking peace? What distractions, arguments, or expectations am I allowing to steal my energy? And what boundaries must I set within and without to guard the fortress of my mind? Remember, the Stoic man does not guard his peace out of fear, but out of wisdom. He knows that from this fortress he can build with greater strength, lead with greater clarity, and live with an unshakable presence in a world of noise. 11. He leads himself first. Many aspire to lead others in business, in family, in community, yet neglect the first and most difficult task, leading oneself. The Stoic man reverses this order. He understands that leadership is not granted by title or position, but earned through self-command. Before he can guide anyone else, he must govern his own mind, his own actions, his own life. Marcus Aurelius, perhaps the most powerful man of his time, wrote constantly about mastering himself. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is the Stoic model: leadership by example, not by proclamation. The Stoic man holds himself to the highest standards, knowing that those he hopes to inspire will follow not his words, but his deeds. Self-leadership begins with impulse control. The Stoic man does not allow urges to dictate behavior. He practices discipline over desire, patience over reactivity, focus over distraction. He does not speak out of anger, act out of fear, or decide out of vanity. Instead, he pauses, reflects, and chooses his actions in alignment with principle. This self-governance is rare, and those who witness it instinctively respect it. But it goes deeper. To lead oneself is to master one's time. Many men squander hours in trivial pursuits, then wonder why their lives lack momentum. The Stoic man treats time as sacred. He structures his days with intention, guarding against the pull of the unimportant. He prioritizes what serves his mission and cultivates the discipline to execute consistently. In this way, he builds trust with himself, and this internal trust radiates outward. Self-leadership also means mastering one's energy. The Stoic man knows that burnout serves no one. He balances discipline with restoration. He invests in habits that sustain physical vitality and mental clarity, movement, rest, reflection. By stewarding his own well-being, he maintains the strength needed to serve others without resentment or depletion. Perhaps most importantly, the Stoic man leads himself morally. He examines his motives, checks his ego, confronts his shortcomings. He does not project an image of perfection, but commits to the continual pursuit of virtue, honesty, courage, justice, wisdom. And because this pursuit is sincere, those around him feel it. They see in him a man worth following, not because he demands loyalty, but because he embodies integrity in practical life. This ethos transforms leadership. The Stoic man's team respects him because he respects himself. His family trusts him because he is consistent and fair. His community looks to him because he carries calm authority, the kind that comes only from deep self-mastery. And when challenges arise, as they always do, he does not collapse or blame. He returns inward. What can I control? What is the right action? How must I show up now? Not for appearances, but for principle. In this way he leads through storms as steadily as in calm. Ask yourself, today, am I seeking to lead others while neglecting to lead myself? Where am I failing to command my own impulses, time, energy, or values? And what is one step I can take today to strengthen my self-leadership so that my outer life reflects inner mastery? Remember, true leadership begins within. The Stoic man leads himself first, and from that foundation, his influence grows naturally without force. For in a world of shallow authority, a man of genuine self-commands, unshakable, 12 silence is his final word. There is immense strength in knowing when not to speak in a world where many feel compelled to comment, argue, justify, and explain every action, every opinion. The Stoic man moves differently. He knows that silence can be more powerful than words, not from fear, but from mastery. Silence is his final word. This does not mean he avoids communication or shuns meaningful conversation. On the contrary, when he speaks, he does so with clarity and purpose, but he does not engage in needless debate. He does not seek to prove himself to those who cannot or will not understand. He knows that some minds are not ready, that some arguments are traps, that some provocations are designed to drain, and so he chooses silence, not as weakness but as a conscious act of strength. Marcus Aurelius reminds us the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed in the injury. Similarly, the Stoic man does not mirror pettiness, nor does he lower himself into every conflict. He understands that his energy is precious, and his purpose too important to be squandered in noise. In practice, this means he lets many things pass unaddressed. He does not respond to every insult. He does not explain his solitude to those who misunderstand it. He does not justify his focus, his boundaries, or his path. He knows that his life lived in alignment with principle will speak louder than any argument. This cultivated silence also creates presence. When the Stoic man enters a room, he does not need to announce his worth. It is felt when he chooses to speak. People listen because they know he does not waste words. His restraint builds respect, and his calm amid noise sets him apart. Moreover, silence protects peace. The man who must respond to everything lives in constant agitation, pulled in all directions by the reactions of others. The Stoic man remains centered. He guards his inner stillness fiercely, knowing that peace is the foundation of clear thought, wise action, and true strength. But this discipline is not always easy. The ego often demands the last word, the clever retort, the public vindication. The Stoic man feels these impulses and lets them go. He remembers that dignity is not found in winning arguments, but in living with integrity. Ask yourself today, where am I speaking out of ego, not purpose? What conversations or battles do I enter that steal my peace? And where could I choose silence, not as avoidance, as an expression of strength and alignment? Remember, the Stoic man does not argue. He does not explain. He exits when needed and lets his silence echo louder than noise in a world desperate to be heard. His quiet presence becomes a rare and commanding force, one that cannot be shaken by opinion or circumstance. Throughout this entire reflection, one truth stands clear. A Stoic man does not chase. He builds. He does not run after fleeting validation or shallow connections. He does not scatter his energy, seeking approval or comfort. Instead, he turns inward. He forges himself through solitude, through discipline, through clarity of purpose. From that unshakable core he moves, through the world calm, composed, and deeply intentional. He is not immune to the noise of modern life, but he is no slave to it. While others rush to be seen, he works in silence. While others fear being misunderstood, he stands firm in his truth. While others depend on relationships to feel whole, he carries wholeness within, and because of this, he builds a life that no one can give him, and no one can take away the path of the Stoic. Man is not easy. It requires courage to stand alone, wisdom to choose discipline over desire and strength, to protect one's peace in a world that constantly seeks to invade it. But for those who walk this path, the rewards are profound: clarity of thought, depth of purpose, authentic relationships, and an inner fortress that cannot be shaken by circumstance. So now, the question turns to you: which of these principles will you embody today? Where in your life are you still chasing? And where can you begin building? What boundaries must you set? What silence must you embrace? What purpose must you elevate above all else? Remember, you do not need to prove yourself to anyone. You do not need to explain your solitude, your focus, your discipline, your life lived with integrity will speak for itself. Build it slowly. Build it intentionally. Build it so solidly that no storm can undo it. Because the Stoic man does not need to chase what is fleeting. He is too busy becoming what is unshakable. Thank you for staying until the end. It shows that you are more than just watching, you are ready to change. If today's message resonates with you, let it be the first step, because the journey of personal growth doesn't end here. Keep listening for the next videos. Each video is a building block for your inner strength, success, and peace. Don't stop. Don't back down. Thank you for choosing to invest in your mind. Keep going deeper, higher, and stronger. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and see you in the next video. You deserve the best version of yourself.